I've been narrating creepy stories online for almost a year now. I've even written a few of my own. The thing about recording these readings is that I always have to slip myself into that mindset. I have to become the character that I'm reading for. Their fear, their rage, their desires. I make myself feel those things too. It used to be difficult, but it's gotten easier and easier now. On one hand, that's a good thing for doing these readings, but on the other, it's scaring me. I'm scaring me. I've always had these really dark thoughts. It's just how my mind works. I've suffered from bouts of depression since I was 8 or 9. Combine that with the fact that I can only really express myself creatively, and you can guess that my imagination can get a little fucked up. The things that make people snap, the thing that's in someone that makes them lust for a kill, it's always fascinated me. I feel like I try to empathize more than a normal person should. I try to understand and put myself into their position. What would I do? How would I do it? Would I be able to go through with it? Sometimes I wish I wasn't like this, but I find this weird comfort in dark things. I like things that make you uncomfortable. I love that feeling, because not everything is rainbows and sunshine and pretty pictures, and I'm okay with that. I noticed something was changing about me when I had trouble getting out of character after recording a reading. It felt like that persona I had to slip into was taking over. I felt unhinged. But then I lost an hour. I don't know what I was doing during that time. I just remember that one minute I was finishing up editing in my office, and the next I was standing in my bedroom. Later that night, I found one of my kitchen knives stuck between the couch cushions while looking for the TV remote. It sliced up my thumb pretty bad and I got blood all over my couch. Knowing what I know about these stories that I read, I didn't just write it off. I didn't ignore it thinking I'd had some kind of mental lapse while cooking dinner. I didn't lie to myself. Something was wrong. I lost an hour, and in that time, for whatever reason, I put a fucking knife in my couch. It's been going on for about 5 months now. I'm too scared to go get help, but I know I need to. I keep having these blackouts and losing hours more and more often. My clothes in my closet will be completely organized in a manic OCD order. Same with my kitchen, my bathroom, my laundry room. I'm not obsessive compulsive like that. It's just not typical behavior for me. Let's be honest. All of a sudden having an organized house isn't really something to be bitching about, I know, but it's not just the organizing. There's things that evidently I'm doing during these blackouts that are concerning. I don't smoke, but I found a carton of cigarettes in my car. I never bite my fingernails, but the tips of my fingers are all red and scabbed and just a mess. Sometimes I snap out of it, and for just a few moments I'm just standing there in the middle of this open field a few miles from my house. I'm all alone, just standing there, staring at this tree about 100 yards away or something. Then I have another blackout, and the next thing I know I'm in the shower. 2 weeks ago I woke up with arms draped around me. I didn't know who they belonged to, but they definitely knew me and said they'd call me later. If they did, it wasn't me that answered. I can't even begin to tell you how violated that makes me feel. But it's not like I can go to the cops about it. They don't know it's not me when it is me, and I know if I try to explain that to anyone, I'm liable to end up locked away in an institution or be called a liar or something. And to top all that off, the journal. Handwriting so small I'm surprised a human actually wrote it. It looked like my handwriting, but different. Wrong. There were insane ramblings about being impure and wrong and having to rectify the situation. and it turned into shadows and demons and voices and other batshit crazy paranoid sections mushed together that I couldn't keep up with. None of it made any sense. Between the insane ramblings were drawings of screaming men and women, bound and bloody. I've been drawing all my life. I know my style of what I create. And these drawings were done by my hand. There's no question in my mind. In the last couple of weeks I've been seeing things, little flickers of something in the corner of my vision. I think I'm getting sick. I feel weak and my balance is off. My stomach is always queasy. It reminds me of that one time I got food poisoning when I was 15. I tried not thinking of what that sounded like. I couldn't face that. But I knew something was seriously wrong with me. That feel was always in the back of my mind, the one I kept waking up in. There was always something off about that field. So I went there last night. I drove out, took a flashlight, and walked all the way to the tree. You know when you get that I have to do this feeling? You don't know the reason, but you just have to do that one thing, otherwise it'll bother you for who knows how long. As I walked towards the tree, I had that feeling. There was this big rock sitting about 2 feet away from the tree. It was almost too heavy to move, but I managed to roll it to the side. I started digging, having to use my hands right where the rock had been lying. I got about a foot down into the dirt, maneuvering around roots and scooping handfuls of soil out of my way. There was a moment when I thought, what the fuck am I doing? But I shoved the thought out of my mind. There had to be something there. I mean, there had to be. I was right. It looked like it was covered in foil or mylar or something. Like the top of a box. And there was a handle, so at that point I just said fuck it and pulled it out. It probably weighed about 10 or 15 pounds. And I sat there and stared at the large box for what felt like minutes, trying to decide if I really wanted to see what was inside. I took a deep breath and then I opened it. Inside the silver insulated box was a cooler. I knew how this looked, knew how the story would end, but I was still trying to tell myself whatever I could to not think about what was really happening. Inside the cooler were jars. My entire body shook as I took them out one by one. Inside the jars were what I can only assume to be bloody pieces of organs and flesh and muscle. Like I said, I'm too scared to go get help. I can't be locked away. I just can't. I can't be. Anyway, the next thing I knew, I was in the middle of my living room, covered in dirt with blood all over my hands. I blacked out again. There was this taste in my mouth. It was familiar, but nothing I'd really acknowledged before. I ran to my bathroom and frantically started washing the blood off my hands. It was hard to breathe or process what I didn't want to process. But then I looked in the mirror. Reality was like a white-hot knife being plunged into my gut. That same thick, dark blood that coated my palms and fingers was smeared across my mouth and cheeks like some bastardized war paint. I screamed. But not because I knew what I'd done. Not because I finally had to face my reality, because there was no way I could deny that anymore. I screamed because when I imagined myself doing those things that I was doing during my blackouts, my mouth watered and I licked the blood from my lips. I wanted more.